Of all the many things that Better Call Saul does exceptionally well, perhaps none stand out quite as much as the show's montages. Vince Gilligan, Peter Gould, and the rest of the crew have perfected the art of montage making, with each season of the show treating its viewers to artfully crafted and emotionally resonant montage segments. Of course, the key to making the perfect montage is choosing the perfect piece of music to accompany it. And in Better Call Saul's perfect montage, the showrunners picked the perfect song to go with it. In the show's 4th season, the story must progress through a number of months, showing the lives of the show's central couple, Jimmy and Kim. The song choice, Something Stupid, which also ended up being the episode's title, fits so well that it could have been written for the montage. The version of the song used in the show was recorded by an Israeli band called Lola Marsh, specifically for the episode. And in this video, I'll take a closer look at the song itself and how it interacts with the visuals to create Better Call Saul's perfect montage. Before we start this video, this is a spoiler warning for Better Call Saul up to Season 6, Episode 12, called Waterworks. If you do go on to enjoy this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. It really helps the channel out and it helps me to keep making these videos for you. The song opens with a simple clapping pattern which continues throughout the whole song. Everything that is to come unfolds on top of this. The montage opens with Jimmy and Kim brushing their teeth, and the interaction between the diegetic and non-diegetic sound, basically the sound that's in the world of the film and the sound that isn't, is quite clever here. The sound of the brushing comes in just before the clapping, and it acts almost as a shaker for the opening section. The song's entire introduction comes over just one shot, and there's not that much to say about this section. It's a pretty basic 2-5-1 in E major, just as basic as the action of brushing one's teeth. As the first verse of the song starts, we get the first cutaway from this domestic scene of Jimmy and Kim. As those with a keen eye might have observed, this montage is a split screen of both Jimmy and Kim's lives, how they differ and how they're the same. The clearest way this is reflected in the music is in the two voices and how they interact. There's quite a lot to say about the vocal part in this song, so bear with me. Firstly, there are two voices singing in 2-part harmony, a male and a female voice, Jimmy and Kim. The voices are rhythmically identical, and mostly, but not entirely, moving in constant quavers.
Then afterwards we drop into a quiet little place and have a drink or two.
The 2-part harmony of the vocals stays apart, never quite connects in unison, even though the voices seem like they're about to connect. For example, let's look at the very first line of the song. The voices start a major 6th apart, with the female voice singing a G sharp that she holds for 2 bars, and the male voice singing a B. As the male voice ascends, the intervals shrink to a perfect 5th, then an augmented 4th, then a major 3rd, but just as the voices seem like they'll finally connect in unison, they're yanked further apart to a minor 6th, and then settle at a perfect 5th.
I know I stand in line until you think you have the time to spend an evening with me.
We can see this reflected in the montage itself, with the display of both Jimmy and Kim's names. Both names are revealed here, but are revealed in such wildly different contexts. Drawing specific parallels between the exact intervals and Jimmy and Kim getting closer and then being torn apart by both circumstance and their own doing, it's a pretty big stretch to make. I think it's unreasonable to think that the showrunners looked in that level of detail. But, intentionally or not, this is the effect of the interaction of these two vocal lines, and the showrunners most certainly did feel the impact of this interaction in their song choice. Something else that reflects the characters is the vocal melodies individually, with the female voice remaining more stable and consistent than the male one. Although it's the female voice that often sits on the harshest tensions, such as in the line Quiet Little Place in Have A, where the female highlights the dominant 7th of the E7 chord, the vocal lines in the female voice are more stable compared to the more up and down male vocal line. The montage emphasises these qualities in the characters. Look how radically different the company they keep is. Kim, the professional businesswoman, is keeping company with suit and tie office workers who are helping her, whereas Jimmy, for everything he is spending his days with Huel, a professional pickpocket. A great professional pickpocket, but a professional pickpocket all the same. The vocal lines are hard-panned in the left and right ears, something that differs from more famous versions of the song, like Nancy and Frank Sinatra's. You'll only be able to hear this if you have headphones or stereo speakers, but the female voice is in the left ear, and the male voice is in the right ear. Mirroring this, Kim is on the left-hand side of the screen and Jimmy on the right.
And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like I love you.
I know there's a 50% chance of this happening anyway, but in the other version of the song used in the show, the places of Jimmy and Kim are swapped, as is the panning. Besides, I'm pretty sure it's not a coincidence anyway. The relationship between Jimmy and Kim is perfectly expressed in the song's lyrics. It's hard to believe that they weren't written specifically for the show. They're not a couple who express their love for one another in traditional means. Displays of intimacy or explicit discussion of love are largely absent from the show at all. And the song's refrain, "Then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like I love you," eerily foreshadows the end of Jimmy and Kim's relationship. The only time we hear them say I love you comes at the termination of their union.
I love you too. But so what?
The song briefly shifts to the subdominant key of A major, happening again whenever this section's repeated, with the D naturals in the voice making an E7 chord, the 5 of the subdominant A major, before returning to E with a 2-5-1. I always think that this specific modulation, where the tonic chord then becomes the dominant 7th of the subdominant, tinges a moment with a hint of sadness. It makes the home key feel so very far away from home, kind of like the opening in the verse of Something by the Beatles.
Something in the way she moves attracts me like no other lover.
Right before the full band comes in, we hear a B augmented chord.
I practice every day.
Augmented chords in this context function as a 5 chord, with the raised 5th degree adding an extra bit of tension. In the montage, there's clearly a change in this shot, where Jimmy and Kim eat spaghetti and drink wine together. For one, it's one singular shot with the line artificially added in the middle, rather than 2 shots put together. Right as they cross the line, we hear a C major chord, a chromatic median. I love chromatic medians, and what they basically are is where the chords are a third or a sixth apart, with one common tone and matching tone qualities, i.e. they're both major or they're both minor.
And all the nights so blue. And then I
This chromatic moment, right as Jimmy crosses the literal line with the wine bottle, doesn't make it feel unsettling or anything, but it communicates that something has certainly changed. There's 2 instrumental sections in the song. The first one composed of layered strings ascending around a dotted idea, starting on the 5th degree of the scale. The ascending part in the strings contrasts with the descending motif that comes between the 2 string phrases. When the voices come back in, they've swapped parts, with the female part shifted up an octave. This lends the song a new energy, lifting up the whole vocal melody.
the time is right, your perfume fills my head, the stars get red and all the nights so blue.
Then, suddenly, the piece falls back down again, with a sparse bass line, ukulele, and electric piano carrying the music before a guitar solo. This part feels more dreamy and ethereal, aided by the use of major 7 chords playing here, noted for their kind of dreamy quality. The strings descend into this breakdown by playing down an E major 7 arpeggio, harmonised in thirds, in third inversion, creating this beautiful semitone dissonance between the major 7th and the root of the E major 7 chord. The same descending arpeggio is then heard again, leading into the guitar solo. The guitar plays in a lower range than is typical of the guitar solo. It mirrors the vocal melody, before it then plays a higher part, including the only triplets in the song. It's noteworthy that the guitar solo here mirrors the vocal melody, because this shows the strength of the song and of the montage itself, using small fragments in different ways to create something bigger, with actually fairly limited material. It's pretty similar to the montage itself, where it remains a simple left-right split screen with no fancy edits, while still incredibly effective. Over the guitar solo, Jimmy and Huel can be seen in the rain. It hardly ever rains in the Breaking Bad universe. Rain is never an accident. It's mostly associated with cleansing, rebirth, and change. like Kim's montage in Season 2, purging herself of her mistakes, the flower on the spot where Nacho died, cleansing himself of his sins, and Kim and Jesse talking, where Kim walks out into the rain, exiting the world of Saul Goodman forever. I think in this instance, it's more just to illustrate the differences between their lives. Kim in business attire, Jimmy cowering with a career criminal in a van. This is similar to the Season 5 montage, where Kim drinks water whilst dressed rather respectably, and Jimmy drinks urine whilst sunburned and broken down. I'll briefly talk about the Season 5 montage now. This montage uses another version of the song, lyricless, instead with humming and an arpeggiated backing, a more reverb-laden production, and a tonic pedal holding it all together. This contrasts the earlier Something Stupid montage, since it's about as far from a day in the life as you can get. Jimmy is broken, hauling the millions of a cartel gangster through the desert, whilst Kim anxiously waits for her husband to return. The Season 4 montage ends without music, the same as it began without music, bookending the montage with silence. I think, overall, this is the best montage in Better Call Saul, which makes it one of the best montages overall. This perfect song choice is instrumental to the reason that the montage is so good, and I think it's a testament to the care and attention that the showrunners put into Better Call Saul, and why it's such a brilliant piece of television. Thanks so much for watching this video, and again, if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, it would really help me out.